very important topic everybody's talking about. It's definitely not new to anyone today. It's an exciting area that's really making everyone scratch their heads in terms of how fast things are just progressing. It's Gen AI, and we're here today to discuss how generative AI is changing the world, specifically software testing. And who better can we talk about generative AI than our co-founder Hala Talanoa, who leads the space in software testing and is there right there with the end users and customers and seeing it happening today, specifically around how Gen AI has progressed with Vansah Test Management for Jira. So stay tuned as we will cover some important areas around AI, what it's doing, how it's changing, how it's progressing, and the positive impact, also some of the negative impact, but mainly positive as we're seeing. And obviously, we'll be going through what you should be seeing is a real life demonstration of Gen AI in motion, and demonstrating how, something that would be performed traditionally using a human manual testers performing some of the analysis and the test case generation, how that's been replaced with AI in action. Obviously, the topic is, will it replace manual testers, or will it replace manual testing? Let's discuss that. Hala, welcome to this video. Exciting to have you here to talk about this topic.
Real pleasure, Fadi, to be conversing around this movement. This generative AI is obviously making such a significant impact in every aspect of our lives, and specifically around testing, which is something that we're both passionate about. And so tonight I'm looking forward just to sharing some insights and some of those opportunities and challenges, really, and some of the stigma that will come with this movement. As we all know, changes to organizations and changes in lives, let alone the resistance that we as human beings, we have against some of these great movements that are just, taking shape, really. So I'm looking forward to sharing it tonight with you.
Likewise. Well, what is the big fuss, if I should say? Is it people are saying that this is really happening too quickly, or is it like, it's impossible that, this artificial intelligence is going to, this synthetic way of generating tests, is it just it's impossible that it can be accurate or it can actually produce the level of quality? I mean, these are the things that I'm hearing, but that's obviously something that's normal when you sort of hear something about some synthetic creation of tests, like artificially creating these tests. Like, how can that be possible that a generative AI engine can be there that just instantly creates test cases, something that would require a human to analyze and think through and to produce that output required? How's that going to be even possible to compare, right? That's probably what people are being mainly concerned of, or thinking that it's just not going to be possible. Would you say that's correct, Hala?
Look, it is fascinating. The old cliche, seeing is believing. In this case, in here, it's really that. And so these changes, or this introduction of advanced way of going about software testing, there's always going to be a level of stigma that comes with that. But seeing is believing, because this is so powerful, and the opportunities that it presents itself to enable and to empower teams, is the sky's the limit. And in our conversation tonight, Fadi, we're going to be talking about some of those challenges, right? Some of those opportunities where it's going to be so fascinating how generative AI is going to create a shift. It's going to create a shift in the mindset of testers, of teams and developers, with the whole impact, not just testing. If we think about it, it's the whole software delivery cycle, software development life cycle, if you'd like. And so I'm really excited to share what those key pillars will be and how it's going to impact, for good or for worse. But it's definitely a positive inclination, that's for sure.
I think we said the word excitement a few times now, and let's get into it. We know what we've seen, so let's get into it. the agenda, clearly it's about, will there be an impact to software testing? Clearly, and that's obviously something we'll cover off. So we are introducing Vansah Intelligence, which is a GenAI solution for Vansah test management for Jira. It's a native testing plugin for Jira and Confluence. We will use the tool in real life and demonstrating. So let's kick off. Let's sort of get started. I think there's a few slides that we want to sort of ensure that if you want to answer the question, will AI replace manual testing? We need to obviously discuss some key points. Obviously, we need to understand the impact. And I think this takes me back to a memory that felt like yesterday, but it was
Memory
actually
lane.
20 odd years ago. Yeah, let's go back to that memory lane at 20 odd years ago when automation testing was very, sort of, not saying it was starting, but it was actually quite, hot in terms of a new technology. It was something that everyone was talking about. Well, it's going to replace manual testers. It's going to literally change the world, and testing will just be finished. It will all be automated. And we can see today that was really not true. In fact, it only empowered businesses to perform testing better, faster, more efficiently. And obviously, utilizing automation in the right way has served many companies and improved the quality and the output for teams. Even today, integration with CI/CD and so many different ways of using automation to benefit companies. Obviously, shifting left and shifting right, there's all sorts of areas of automation that can play a key role. And there's no difference here with AI. If you're not going to consider AI as an impact, you will be left scratching your head, wondering, how on earth did we do this? Why did we do this to our business? Is it fair to say that we've left our business behind because we didn't believe that it will impact? It will impact. It will be a positive impact. Testers will need to adapt and to start utilizing AI to ensure that it's going to support and guide and aid them to deliver more. Right? That's clearly what it is. So
Absolutely,
before
Fadi. Let me just add on to that. Sorry to hold that thought.
yeah, definitely.
We speak about, and this is so true. And speaking about memory lane, we always got to ask ourselves the why, our reasons in doing things. And it is exactly the same question that one would ask around generative AI. What is the value that's going to add to a tester's life or a development team? And so the impact is exploring the impact and understanding. Look, there are a couple of things that I wanted to sort of focus on as well. Number one is efficiency. That's the word that comes to mind, right? The efficiency. And this is going to, well, we can see that it's significantly enhancing the way that you prepare tests. We're talking about a machine versus human. You
Oh,
can't
hold on.
compare.
I wouldn't just say a machine. It was like what you see. Obviously, a machine can have many advantages over a human, but this is not just a machine. This is a machine with so much data, accessible data to that it's learnt over the years, and rich data and accessible data through models that have been engineered to provide accuracy of data to some point. I mean, that's how you prompt these AIs, right? It's really the key thing here. It's not just, we're using AI and that's it. It's obviously the approach to AI, but you're absolutely right. It's a machine versus a human, and a human has limitations to memory, limitations to speed and efficiency. Like, there's a process that a human needs to take to digest the information is not the same as what an AI does. How it takes that data and just processes it, it's mind blowing. It's easy to you can listen here and just think, okay, this is great. I can see, but it's when you see it, like you said, seeing is But
Seeing
believing,
is believing.
seeing is believing, right? It's something that I look at and I say, I think, how could we take one of the best testers that we know of, that we see as a subject matter expert, and we're so excited to have him on a team to study user stories and to perform test case generation based on a user story. The speed and the accuracy that we're seeing with AI is just, I don't want to disrespect the community of testers, because we are from that community, but it's a difference. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a huge difference, and there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity now. I'm trying to say there's an opportunity now for testers to take on this new Gen AI solution that's coming out, this technology, to apply it to their arsenal, apply it to their capability. That's really what it is.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. This is certainly not a threat, or it's not a negative impact on testers. Simply put,
Yes,
this is going to benefit and it's going to empower. And we're speaking in the space of software testing. This is going to empower test engineers, testers, anyone that's involved in testing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the challenges and opportunities shortly. But the shift in the tester's role and the ways of working, it's a significant shift, because this allows, we hear terms being thrown out there around shifting left, shifting right. And in short, I mean, shifting left is about, from a testing viewpoint, is about testing as early as possible. The reasons for that is to provide early feedback, to correct things before it gets a little bit too late down the delivery chain. But with generative AI, it's going to have a positive shift in the tester's role. That's simply put. And I think the impact is going to be endless. And we're going to be talking about certain challenges and opportunities. And I think we'll go to that to start to sort of unpack that a little bit as well.
Yeah, look, I think the key thing you said was endless, because we're talking about AI today, but let's look at AI tomorrow, 3 months from here, 6 months, 2 years. The IQ of AI is not just staying where it is. Humans' IQ is really maxed out to a point, but Gen AI is moving at a speed that, within 2-3 years, depends on what they allow it to become. It's only just growing beyond. It's exponentially growing. So absolutely, it's going to be very, very interesting times ahead.
It's fascinating.
Challenge. Yeah. So we obviously got a key thing. So we're going to talk about the challenges, the opportunities. I mean, we know of some challenges. It's data privacy. That we talk about quality of data that it's using, but I think we talked about this before, Hala, and I think we'll mention it. People talk about, when you're working on requirements, you say, it's the garbage in equals garbage out. Yeah, right. Quality of requirements produce quality test cases, and the output of that is obviously evident from the results, from the coverage and identifying issues. But there's something about Gen AI, which is, yes, I mean, the requirement needs to be there. There needs to be defined acceptance criteria. But it's amazing what we've seen is that even with minimal information, it's able to establish what you should be testing. And that's the other advantage here, is that minimal specific points in a user story can still produce amazing test cases. That is a big thing here. We're talking about, look, give it quality, it's going to produce amazing stuff, but give it, not going to say garbage, but give it very minimal, it still will produce. Yeah.
Let me just interject in here, Fadi, because I start to think about questions coming from, various audiences. So if we take the agile practitioners or the agile space, a lot of people will ask, well, how is Gen AI going to impact agile versus traditional structured development? And as you said, we see opportunities in here where there's a lot that there's a specific stigma around agile, and it used to be when it first took place around, it's all about speed. It's all about the minimal information. But what we can see in here is that the leverage of Gen AI, to your point where you just shared, even with minimal information, it will support and it will deliver smarts around providing different permutations, right? Because we're talking about testing, right? We're talking about testing and ensuring that quality is obviously achieved. And these are some of the opportunities. Obviously, as you said, the better the quality, the better the outcome. You add Gen AI into that, it's going to tenfold, 100-fold your analysis, your test preparation. The point that we're talking about here is obviously Gen AI as a lever, as a platform, as a, to really skyrocket and bring that efficiency to your teams as well.
Yeah. Look, so it's clear around obviously the quality that, comparison of quality requirements in terms of what Gen AI can do, and even if it's not as defined and detailed requirements, it still can produce great results. The other point is obviously data privacy, problems with data. Is it sensitive? What's happening with that data? And obviously, this is a very important thing to discuss, because if you if you're storing information that Gen AI is going to use, and that's sensitive information, then you should be looking at your responsible technology, how you're being responsible about the data you're storing and you're capturing.
Fadi, you're talking about, that's right, sorry to cut you, you're talking about duty of care as a practitioner, as an IT professional, regardless of Gen AI and regardless of certain technologies to advanced ways of working. You must possess that accountability or that responsibility of being sensible. It's a practice, right? And it's exactly the same thing in Gen AI. You certainly wouldn't be, passing credit card information and personal data that are sensitive. So you definitely need to apply that. Is that street smart around?
Well, that's only to be responsible and to be certain that you're avoiding just pushing data around that shouldn't be stored in that unencrypted format, or in a format that you don't want it to be stored in ways that it shouldn't be in the first place. So that's the first thing. But if you have systems like Jira, where your requirements are defined specifically to a user story as you would expect it to be, the data that's stored there is acceptable, it's not anything that is against any policies, then Gen AI is going to be processing that in a secured format method. It's the data isn't being shared, it's not being used in any specific way, specifically like with technologies like Vansah Intelligence. And we know of the technology, it's not obviously using it to learn to provide another service for another customer. It's very clear on that. That's definitely responsible technology. It's managing technology in the right way. It's performing a duty of care. And so that's really key to sort of ensure that these are still some of the challenges people still are concerned around, how that sensitive data is being used. But I see it as the same concern and challenge many people had when technology went online, technology went to the cloud, big data, everything is, your information is being shared anyway as you're on the internet today. So it's still a very, it's a topic that will always exist. It's never going to be, hidden or forgotten or ignored. It's still going to be there. Yes.
Yeah. And it just comes down to ways of working for teams and organizations. They still have that responsibility to do their due diligence. But certainly the opportunities are presenting themselves to be very significant and positively supporting teams.
Perfect. That's good. So moving on, I guess, if we can just hopefully get straight into some real world applications. So we obviously have some examples that we'd like to share and to talk about from a Gen AI perspective.
Certainly.
It is really going to be nothing less than amazing in terms of taking a use case where you have some requirements, and obviously looking at Yeah, do you want to say something, Hala? Did you?
Yeah, let me just share a few quick thoughts before you demonstrate some of
Yes,
those
Jamie.
real applications, Fadi. Look, the key things that really stand out from a real world application are the test case generation, which we will see shortly, but also the designing. When we think about certain techniques such as test driven development, static testing, all those key testing processes, and that's just a few, they will be impacted in such a positive way with Gen AI, because if you look at test driven development, a developer
Yes.
will be able to consider more than just a handful of conditions or permutations when they run through intelligence and apply AI to their test development, test design, and etc. Same thing with static testing, because the ability to be able to let AI generate a baseline of test permutations for you with minimal of information, it will certainly create and consider the comprehensiveness around that is next level. And so I thought I'd share that with regards
Yeah.
to applying that to real world, and let's see that in action.
Okay. So, what do you think? We should get straight into demonstrating Vansah AI, Vansah intelligence, or what are your thoughts? Or we'll just
Yeah,
talk
I
about
think
some
so.
use cases. I
Yeah,
think so.
certainly, Fadi. Maybe if you can just speak about, obviously, introduce advanced intelligence and some of the use case that's obviously available now and out in the, at least in market. I think
Yeah.
it's a good
Look, thank you.
segue
No, look,
to
it's a
sharing
good
that.
reminder. Maybe, yeah, it's absolutely. So, Vansah is a technology which is a testing app for Jira. It's in the Atlassian marketplace. It's obviously a enterprise testing solution for managing testing against user requirements and test cycles. Anything you would expect from a testing tool, Vansah has. And one of the remarkable accomplishments that have just come out is Vansah's integration with artificial intelligence, OpenAI, from a GenAI perspective. And it's obviously started off, where we sort of say unleashing AI for software testing and telling the world that AI, the future of AI, has now arrived. It's here today. We're living in it. And not only are we living in it, we're not using it as a external source, like to go out there and type in some commands to AI to sort of prompts and to sort of ask. This is all now part of the testing lifecycle, part of your testing tool. Using your testing tool that we just talked about, like Vansah Test Management for Jira, while testers are working against the user story, GenAI from an Vansah intelligence perspective is there available for you to analyze that user story and generate test cases. And that has been the main first release that has come out. And not only does it come out, but it's also been proven, where we've actually done some case studies with real clients and real customers side by side. So a customer that's obviously undertaking a Microsoft Dynamics 365 upgrade that is very common, with your Salesforce upgrade, which is to release notes are there all the time. Companies, our clients are actually familiar with the process of having to always be aware of what's new, what's coming up, being prepared for that testing, implement the upgrade, and test that upgrade. So that particular case study has been something that we've been following, where we use professional testing teams out there to review the changes and to analyze the tests that are required. And AI our Vansah intelligence was used in parallel to determine how it behaves differently from a speed, from an accuracy, from a quality, right?
And it's really
And I
the
think
validation layer, right?
absolutely, the validation layer, it's something we need to be testing quite rigorously, and that's been happening at Vansah. And the astonishing outcome there is nothing that we didn't, it's not like we didn't expect it, but it was just super fast compared to several days of effort that would require a team of 3 that was reviewing the changes, inputting the changes, creating that whole traceability.
In
Right.
fact, not just the speed, which is fantastic, but
Expected.
the
Yeah.
comprehensiveness and the
Yes.
granularity, the accuracy
Correct.
around just considering different test conditions
Mm.
based on requirements was just phenomenal. Well,
Yeah. Well, look.
it's phenomenal
Let's just take
because
an example. Take an example, Hala. The tester, an experienced tester, would need to review
yep,
the requirement,
that's correct.
understand the requirement, break it down, put it into test scenarios, establish the test cases from those scenarios, create that traceability that's
Mm,
required, look at the data that's necessary, define the coverage that is adequate,
mm,
prioritize all that adequate, then define the steps that are necessary, go through that process, and ensure that they manage their day-to-day activity from a reporting, from a management. I mean, just talking about that process that is required from a
that's a full
tester.
plate, isn't it?
I'm not under. It's a lot of work. Like we definitely know the life of a software tester is not some just easy thing
Walk in
that
the
anyone
park.
can do. It's a disciplined role. It's attention to detail. It's experience. It's a confidence in that space, and you need to
Mm,
respect the software tester, because a software tester's role is not an easy task. Simple put
mm,
as that. You're always around the hunt for that amazing software tester. We know that it's a task that quality is always at the forefront of any software tester's mind, and the expectation from a project manager, from a business owner, executive, is that we want to ensure we've covered every scenario required, we've considered every edge case, and
mm.
prioritized so we can know what we need to test.
In fact, just on
Yeah.
that note, Betty, I mean, as a chief, as a business owner, as a sponsor to any IT projects, all they focus on is a quality product, how it's
Yes.
tested, how it's being delivered. That would fall on the delivery team. The point that I'm making
Governance. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
exactly the point that I'm making is that the level of trust that's being privileged to a tester is actually
Yeah.
a big undertaking. And so this is the point we're talking about. It's so comprehensive what a tester will go through to prepare,
Yes.
introduce AI, introduce generative AI, introducing Vansah intelligence. It's a different ball game.
Oh, totally ballgame. And what happened in this particular case study is we didn't only just demonstrate the speed and the accuracy and the coverage, which is not even comparable. It's unfair. We really, it shouldn't be looked at as, hey, let's look at who can get to the uh, to the goal line, or to the post
Yeah.
fastest, right?
Well, it's certainly not apple and apple.
No, you can't compare. Look, it's the output was instant. The other one was expected, right? To take time, to take the due diligence. In fact, if you had a software tester to come back and say, "Hey, here we go. I've got the 100 test cases that are required," and you just walked away from that tester and assigning the task to them, and they've come back and say it's done, you would question and say, "How is that possible? You couldn't have done that. It's not unless you've had those test cases that you've downloaded from somewhere that were accurate, and you
Mm,
sort of said that you're happy with it, fine." But that's not really the case, right? It's never the same test cases. It's based on your business, based on your requirements, and based on
mm,
the analysis, and then the design, then the end to end, as I described earlier. But AI, in our case, generated that instantly, which we'll showcase very quickly in a second. But more importantly, this is something you're aware of, but it's important for our audience to be aware of what's happened. Is after going live with the upgrade, there unfortunately was a few scenarios that the testing team had missed, and it wasn't just missed by the main testing team; it was missed by the implementer of technology, the integrator. Then it was into the testing team that also missed that particular scenario, all the way to acceptance testing, went into production, and a critical test condition was missed. The test case was missed as a result of pressure, a result of potentially not clearly understanding the requirement well enough because it wasn't highlighted. Whatever it may be, it was missed. All the due diligence was taken into account. The governance was there. the risk was managed. Everyone assumed that it was everything was required. What was required was covered, but it was missed, and the production issue was there. In the comparison side of things, which, remember, this case study was done silent to the other team, so it's not like we were providing GenAI as a solution from Vansah Intelligence and then feeding that information in. We were completely separate. We were not involved, but we were reviewing, and the test cases were provided and generated, but it wasn't shared. Once we completed, we reviewed what did GenAI from Vansah Intelligence produce. It identified that missed test condition. It identified the tests in the minutes as opposed to days. And it also identified other test cases that weren't critical, that hadn't been used by the business process yet. So it was identified as it should be considered. Luckily, there's no issue yet because that business process hadn't been triggered at that point. But it's clear, and everyone was really then, I guess, if jaws had fully dropped, they had sort of seen the
exactly.
Yeah.
The key messages you call that, Fadi, the comprehensiveness, the speed, and the accuracy. So if you look at those three there, that really sums up that whole situation quite well.
Quickly. Yeah. So that's the unleashing side of AI software testing using Vansah Intelligence. The release is out there. We published this on LinkedIn. We published it out on our community forum. We've talked about what is the power of GenAI, and those articles are available. In the description, we'll have the links to those, whoever is interested to read more about it. Clearly, it's a topic that is now no longer a prediction. It's happening. It's now live. It's in production. It's live. It's being used by many of our Vansah customers, and we're excited. So what I think is best now is, without continuously talking about what is AI and talking about its potential and the feedback, I think as best is, let's get into Jira, where Vansah Intelligence with that, is in action, and I think we can showcase that. So I guess now is a good time for us to share our screen and demonstrate to our audience some key things that you've been waiting for. So I'm about to share my screen now.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Let me know, Hala, if you could tell me how's my screen looking there.
Looking good.
Old. I need to put my glasses on there so I can make sure I'm seeing everything. So what I have prepared is a particular user story in our Jira instance here. And let's look. It's just a typical user story. As a taxi driver, I want to cancel the taxi booking so that I don't travel too far to pick up the commuter. Here's a basic description of the user story as a taxi driver. This is what most people are familiar with when it comes to user stories. Very, very simple information there. So if we now go into Vansah here as Vansah Intelligence, we can click on Vansah Intelligence here, and I'll find that user story. Where is it? Taxi driver. There we go. By the way, Vansah Intelligence will be part of the issue screen in the next release. So we're just demonstrating accessing Vansah Intelligence from the Vansah board and sort of accessing all your user stories. But eventually, when you're working on a user story, you will see Vansah Intelligence available within Vansah there directly. But let's just continue here. So you simply select the user requirement, you click next, and now it analyzes, okay, look, you have different test case types. So obviously in this project, we don't have anything but a functional test, but let's say we also have security test case types. We just simply add them to our project. Or what else do we think we have, Hala? We have some...
probably try a business process.
Yeah, business process.
And I think this is the real great flexibility around this, right? You can...
Yeah, so, but we'll start off with some functional test case types that we're looking to generate. And as you're familiar with test cases, that you can have a test script associated to that test case. That could be a step-by-step, could be a plain text that just defines the test details that you should verify, or a BDD, because that's also supported. So you can define which test script you want to create as part of the test case. After selecting that, you click next. And now the power of AI kicks in. And it's simply happening as you see it. My hands are here. I'm not touching anything. I can't
Seeing
type
to
that
believe,
fast.
seeing is
Yeah,
believing.
yeah, that's exactly right. So it's actually now reviewed that user story. It's understood the type of test cases you need to create. And here we go. Verified a taxi driver can see the pickup. It's understood all the details of that user story from the simple description that was available in that user story. And it's creating the test cases required. At the moment, it's limited to 25 test cases, but this is something that you define how many test cases you want to create. For now, it's just going to stick to 25. After sort of looking at all these test case headlines that we call them, you define which ones you want. If you say, look, all of them look good after reviewing them, you want to continue. Now it's just simply clicking next. And here's where GenAI is now building this test case description, the priority, the steps based on the script type. It's creating it all for you. So here we go. That first test case, it's a functional test case. Verify the taxi driver can see the pickup point of the assigned commuter. You saw that there. It currently has 3 steps. If we click on it here, we'll come back to it in a second. It's going to be creating the full details of that test case. This is
Eddie,
really,
let me
this
just
is it.
let me just jump in there.
Go
I
for it.
mean, how long have we taken to generate these 25 test cases, and now it's producing detailed steps? Where literally a couple of minutes, if not.
Well, a couple of
right?
minutes. Exactly right. This is exactly right. This is the point. Yes. Go for it.
And so we spoke about the speed. We're speaking about the comprehensiveness around coverage, but also the accuracy. And so this is going to really take testing to the next level, and it is doing that. We've spoken about that a few times now, but
yeah, look at it. Well, look at here. As you can see,
great to see the magic
original,
happens.
Yeah, you see the user story 508, as we were talking about before, as a taxi driver. Under Vansah test management here, you see all the test cases that have automatically been linked. The traceability is there. The details of all the test cases. We have 8 now. If you keep refreshing, you'll see that eventually, as the process that we were looking at before, as it completes, it will start to increase the number of test cases. All right. It's still producing a bit. You can see right now, it's got the details. So this is really everything that we've been talking about in action. And we can continue looking at that for as long as you decide you need to. But going back to this point, I just wanted to share, this is a real use case here where you have a user requirement. Testers would have to, as you said, would have to go through, review the user requirement or the user story and start to create the test cases. You can do that traditionally as you would normally, or you go into Vansah and start creating test cases manually, or let AI generate them for you. So that's really what it's been.
The time to sit around and we've spoken about this many times tonight. But imagine if teams will sit around a table in their day-to-day sessions, whether it's a 3 Amigo session or whether it's a workshop, to go through requirements, to generate test cases on the fly, to be able to feed that back to the development process or to the designer or to the coder or programmer. It's amazing because you're starting to spin that wheel and spinning that cycle quicker than ever, because you're providing various permutations to provide back to a developer, to a coder, to a BA, and to a designer. It's phenomenal. It's powerful. When you're sitting down with a business or a group of subject matter experts, this is the benefits that it provides. That
Definitely
cycle of quality, of continuous verification and continuous testing. So it's great to see that in action.
No, absolutely. Look, and I think we'll probably just do one more example while we go back. And I think there's many here we can look at, but I think the one that's to do with was D365. I think we had a user story here of Dynamics, I think it was. Yeah, Dynamics role-based security changes that were occurring. Same thing, go through it all. It will sort of ask, okay, maybe you look at business process to see if that's a requirement here.
Well, yeah.
And and let it generate, and let's just see what it comes up with. So verify that the assigned users to at least one security role to access the finance and operations. Look at that. Users to security role.
Incredible.
This is not, it's not that easy for an experienced person just to think of all these scenarios on the fly, like instantly. It takes time. And this is where GenAI is really proving what we were talking about in the last, how long when we started this, in a short period of time. Look at it. It's building it all for you. You can't compete. The quality of these, and we've tested it. The coverage is amazing. The detail is all there. This is not just because AI is able to do this. It's also how you're developing the prompt to AI, and that's where Vansah Intelligence is serving its purpose. It's using the required information from the user story. The requirement there is taking the information of what type of test you require. It's establishing all that information and talking to AI. And AI is able to respond back if it's not able to understand some things. And this is where Vansah Intelligence is able to communicate. It's an exchange of information, allowing you as a user to complete certain responses that are necessary for that prompt. So it's more than just what you're seeing here. This continues on and on. So you can see, if we look at another one that I had here as an example, just to give you some sort of reference point. Let's just say we have something about, a technical ticket here, SSL certificate signed using weak hash algorithm, whatever it may be. I just pulled some information out and I said, well, look, I want it to be a functional type test. Let's just see what happens. And we click next. This is where I'm expecting AI to sort of ask a few questions. What's going on here? It's actually recognizing that there needs to be a little bit more input to.
That's a really good example.
Yeah, and so we obviously will answer it. And this is really good. This is like your tester interaction with the business. The SMEs, the experts there to talk about
the consultation part of it.
Consultation. Yeah. This is test consulting at its best. Is this application web or standalone? Is the requirement to test specific weak hash algorithm? You say yes. Should the test focus on the process of signing or verifying? Yes, signing. And I wanted to show you something here, because I don't expect this to go very far, because there's something else that AI will pick up on. There's no detail here in the user story. All right. So I want to share something here for you. So imagine we click next, and it's really just going to make it up. No, it can't. It needs to ask more, and it will error. It said the insufficient information in the issue description to generate. So it's actually not just making things up. It needs information. So I can only just sort of give you a little bit more of an example. Let's just say that we put some sort of information here, just for the sake of time, and just to give you an example of what I'm trying to refer to here. I click back, and then I sort of click next now, and I still say functional. Now we've got data, and I continue with the same responses. That's what it sort of recognized. It should still error, because I've sort of, not sort of error, but depending, yes, it says the requirement is more related to security testing rather than functional testing. This is not, again, this is an example of Vansah Intelligence in terms of the benefit it provides when it's integrated with AI. It's not just integration. This is a lot of work that's been invested to ensure that we're communicating with the open AI models and prompting in the right way. Now,
absolutely.
This is how, this is clearly, it's please provide a requirement that aligns to functional testing or change the test case to security. It's telling you should be testing more of a security. So let's go back now. And I think we did have a security type test. That's obviously in our project, type of tests that we look after are security and functional. So if you didn't have it, create it. We did have it. Now I expect something to occur. Right, this is where I expect it to continue, and it is. Verify the system rejects SSL certificate signed, verify. And now look, this is generating all of these test scenarios with very, very minimal information. This is what I was saying is about normally in Gab, so if I sort of share the original requirement, SSL, here it is. This is all it was. This is the only data. You come back here and you sort of look at this. It's still going away and generating the type of tests that you really need to think about based on generative AI, based on the
Can I just jump
intelligence.
in there, Fadi? What you're
Mm,
showcasing here is a typical scenario, a day in the life of a tester, the where the saying goes, "There's not enough information," and it's a valid conversation.
yeah,
It's
valid,
valid,
valid. But
and I'm
how do
not
you consult to get that? Yes, yes.
that's right, and I'm not discounting that, but it's often a bottleneck for teams to say, "Look, we're waiting on some more information on requirements." We've
Mm,
just seen and witnessed in here, seeing is believing. The
yes,
fact that
yes,
you
yes.
have minimal requirements and the ability
Mm,
to benefit from generating baseline. And again, this is a great example of going back to your teams and saying, have we considered this A, B, and C? And this is
definitely.
where the this is where the opportunities are just like the sky's the
Yeah,
limit. So
sky's the limit. Sky's the
it's
limit.
good
And
to
like I
be
said,
talking about these nice things, good to be saying these nice things, but to demonstrate it, get the car on the road, so to speak, and really test it out. And I really love the fact that you demonstrated those error conditions or exception conditions, because
this is
we're,
normal
we're not
normal scenarios. Yeah.
normal scenarios. We're not looking at a platform and a capability where it's just biased and it's going to try and give you something just for the purpose of answering your questions. It's smart enough to prompt you for more information, bringing in the tester to wear their consultation hat or consultative hat in
Yes.
generating a quality output. And so it's great to see.
No, well, look, that's very important. It's like you sum it up. It's definitely not just about using AI and to sort of see what we can try to use. I mean, you'll easily get caught out if you're just creating any type of test scenarios. I mean, the testing has to be clear that it's aligned to the requirement. It's covering the business process that you need to test, or the area that you need to focus on. That's really
Can
it.
I just, yeah, exactly, Peter. Can I look? We asked the question in the beginning of the call: will generative AI replace testing or replace a
That's it.
tester? We've just answered it. It's not going to replace a tester, because there's that element of review, quality, but leverage of a capability where it's going to provide speed to generate your test conditions, your test scenarios. It will promote a far greater level of discussions amongst your teams, whether that's design requirements, lack of information. So there's always going to be an element where you need to apply your human intervention. So some conclusive thoughts and comments, it is going to be your best friend, so to speak. And
No,
it's never going to
look,
replace you, but rather going to enhance how you work and advance the way that testing teams and software delivery teams perform.
correct, correct. It's definitely you got to answer the original question of why we came here for. Will it replace manual testing? Definitely not. It's only going to ensure that the testers that are not really embracing technology, or cannot sort of apply themselves in areas that will add more value to a business, they're the ones that I would say would be impacted. But I don't think the testing community out there is looking at things in that way. They're the potential for the market is enormous. We've seen many things come into the testing market that has changed the software delivery lifecycle, software development, and software testing. The world of integration, big data, uh, automation, monitoring, all of these different technologies have really supported teams and projects to deliver quality, deliver technology to the market, to the end user, to the consumer, in a much faster and more secure and responsible way. So today we're just really scratching the surface here. We're
Absolutely.
really, the things that we're talking from the future outlook side of things that I can see that that's our final slide, is that AI will be part of, if we're talking about Vansah, will be part of all of Vansah, not only just about generating test cases. We'll eventually be able to support generating further detailed test scripts that are required from automation, generating Selenium scripts, that could be run, generating the whole end-to-end test suites that should be executed in the order required. The things that are being worked on will continue to refine to be more of a consulting manner to sort of ensure you sort of consider the type of data that should be tested to support the project or the implementation in detail. So there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it will be always there. Yes,
there is, Fadi, and just to add on to that, I mean, we haven't even covered the space of predictive analysis, where
yes,
where defects can be, I suppose, forecasted, and it's exciting because
and I'll tell you how that will happen. Right? Sorry, it's a very good point, Hala. Sorry to cut you out, but I guess I should. I'm known to not look at my notes to remember what I should have said, and thank you for mentioning that.
Well, that's why we're here on Tag Team, yeah.
Yeah, I think you used AI there at the background, didn't you, to talk about what we should be talking about? But look, the key, that's exactly right. Prediction of what issues or where you should be focusing, is definitely the future outlook, and it's definitely coming to Vansah. It's hopefully sooner than later, and there's other areas that help with that, but it's that there's something that not just directly prediction in terms of supporting, but it does add is reviewing the project, like the comments around an issue, the discussions that people are having, that it actually identifies the risks and predicts things according to what's going on. So that sort of thing. So that aids in the type of test that should be worked on.
Absolutely.
There's
and look,
key insights.
Sorry, Fadi. Yeah, look, absolutely key insights, and the so what and the impact of all this conversation that we're having doesn't start and stop within a testing team or a testing organization. It absolutely has a bottom line impact on business and organizations. We know that. And so a good quality, a great delivery of software development projects and software testing will have, at the end of the day, it's going to have an impact on organizations' bottom line. And that's what leaders are looking for. They're looking for better, faster, quality. Couldn't care less of how that's going to be delivered. That's the responsibilities of the delivery team, and that's the reality often. But you need to have these capabilities used in the right manners and be inspired and empowered by it to deliver organizations' goals and outcomes. That's literally,
you summed it up
what it's all about, right?
Exceptionally well. But look, to sort of articulate what you said very well, there's the future. Obviously, the future is very positive, and AI is being embraced by many companies and teams. I sort of would, if I can call out to my friends out there from the testing community, from the business communities, development communities, all communities. Yeah, we know that AI has existed. It's been in the making. It's now part of our lives. It's in many things. It's helping, supporting, like we said. You can just look out on the market about how it's created this positive impact from different industries, in the healthcare, in the technology and business areas. You can go on, and I think the process around testing is absolutely no different. It's the same thing. So I think it's a good time to wrap this up. There'll be more discussions. We'll be talking about this, I think, in the near future, and hopefully for ongoing around some of the new advanced ways of AI integration into software testing. If there's anyone who has any feedback, any comments, or any suggestions, or any doubts, they can reach out, comment on this video, or look at the links and sort of reach out and sort of see if they have anything they'd like to test this with. We'd be more than happy to demonstrate. But as we can see, there's been a great amount of interest, because companies clients have actually started to reach out and requested for demonstrations where they believe they could have done better potentially in the past, or they're concerned of something they're about to undertake, and they want to sort of ensure that they're not sort of taking that risk where they have probably in the past, where they had no other choice really. Just to bring in more numbers of consultants to work on a team is not always something that's available. And even then, it still has its limitations. But if you have the right team and apply this to your team, we can see the outcome is just tenfold, hundredfold, whatever you want to call it. So we're super excited. We're glad to have been at the forefront here amongst others that are already into this space, and we've integrated it into Vansah Test Management for Jira. It comes free. It's all, I mean, when I say comes free, nothing's free in life, but Vansah is free for 10 users. If you're a Jira customer and you're using Jira, Vansah is free for 10 users, and that's the promise, and that's there for life. We hope for forever, as we say. But right. AI is part of it. It's not something you need to perform anything. You obviously need to enable Vansah intelligence in your Jira instance, because it's obviously a Jira admin's requirement that they look at it, review what it is, and enable it. Once you enable it, all your projects now can leverage from this benefit. So thank you for your time, Hala. I really have enjoyed this conversational discussion around Vansah intelligence, AI, the world, the challenges. Will it impact software testing? I think we've answered that several times over. We're not going to talk about it anymore. And we hope you've enjoyed this conversation. And we look forward to many more to come. Thank you, Hala.
Thank you, Fadi. Great pleasure, and looking forward to the next one.
See you then.